SpaceX has been busy, so we are back with another Starbase summary. We're going to kick it off with a static fire. Let's listen in to the sounds of the static fire to make sure everybody is awake at the very top of the video. All right, everybody awake now? The interesting thing, scroll back and watch that again. Number one, we won't play the sound on this. It'll just be the same sound over and over again. But if you scroll back, the long, loud sound you're hearing is not actually the static fire. SpaceX confirmed that the static fire was not full duration. It was aborted early because of a ground-side GSE issue. But if you scroll back and you listen to that, you'll hear two sort of different sounds. Like woof at the beginning, that's the startup of the engines and the static fire, and then the and that long sound that you're hearing is the tank farm itself, the water deluge part of the tank farm actually. So go back, look at that a couple times. Also, look at the shadow of the grid fin up on the top of the booster. Here in this clip, we're going to see the booster static fire stand. Nope, the booster transport stand moved over into position. There's a Pad 2 LOX Booster Quick Disconnect. You can actually see through the door there on the right-hand side. That should be closed normally. Then see the guys in the door. Getting a retract test here, so you see how that sort of comes back in. You can see the entire structure moving as you look through the door as well. And then you got the big shield sort of closing. I wonder how that door is going to be secured. I mean, in Flight 1, there was like a ship-looking door that was blown, 100 yards away from the launch mount and laid there forever, like nobody picked it up. I wonder how that door right there is going to be secured. Like, certainly it's not just a little latch with a deadbolt or something like that. Anyways, the reason we saw the booster transport stand go over there is because they're going to be moving, or they did, I guess I could say. They were removing the booster from the launch mount, putting on the transport stand to get it on back so they can work on it. Got a couple cool close-up shots here. That first one was the hot staging ring, hot staging crown, hot staging struts. I feel like it needs a different name. It's not really a ring anymore, I don't think. There you have the top of the chopsticks. Here's the lower sort of stabilizer arms of the cameras on there. I know there's cameras and lights on there. I don't see them exactly there. There's probably those gray things down at the bottom. But here we've got Booster 19 coming off of Pad 2. Don't be surprised. It's still missing those engines in the clip here from March 17th. They had 10, I think, right? Yeah, 10 engines on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. One in the background you can't see. They had 10 engines. Of course, clearly they need 33 engines to fly the whole thing. But they did the static fire somewhat to, I guess, some of our surprise with this subset of engines. Clearly it's something that they can do, but even after the very brief static fire, they're still looking good. I imagine that the FOD teams are going to have a lot of fun making sure that all of those sort of temporarily secured connections are clear from that static fire test. There's supposed to be a lot more engines down there on the bottom, and all of those sort of, they're going to be capped off, they're going to be sealed, ports and stuff like that. Hopefully did not get anything in them. We're on the other side of the road, so we've got some cars like dashing in front of us here, but there is the booster going down to the transport stand. Here's a time lapse of the same without the cars. Well, you can see the same cars. They're on the road there, but they're just not directly in front of the camera. Chopsticks down into the transport stand. And then, okay, I was going to guess, were we going to see rollback in this or not? But yes, we are going to see Booster 19 going around the tower, out the gate, behind the crane, and all the way back to the production site. So, are they going to go and remove all of those engines? Are they going to just fill it out with the remaining engines? Hey, this is the first time I've seen the cop lights on the top of the Cybertruck. Interesting. Do they just need to add some engines? Or are they going to do a complete swap of all the engines on there? Is there some other set of engines for flight? And this was a set of engines for test. And maybe this was more about testing the pad infrastructure than testing the engines themselves or the booster itself or whatever. I guess we will wait and find out. But here, the booster rolling. Yeah, there's that PTZ pan. The stars sort of wheeling in the background. The booster rolling all the way back to the Megabays. Of course, it's not going to go in the Gigabay. That's not done yet. It's going to have to go past that area, then around the back, then in between the two Megabays. I guess spoilers, whatever. We know the path that they're going to take right now. One day they'll just take a right here and go right into the Gigabay, but not quite done yet. Foop. Past Gage. Here it's going to take a turn in. Also got those interestingly shaped grid fins, the octagonal shaped grid fins. Now that raceway all the way up the two shorter chines. Is the short side or the long side? We'll see when it turns. That looks like the shorter chines we were looking at, and then those longer chines on the opposite side, the opposite of that extra grid fin. Vestigial grid fin? Like, no, that's not the right term, because that's like, your spleen or whatever. This is actually a functional organ of the booster. It is still needed for control. They just lopped off that one that they didn't need. It's missing now. But there it goes into Megabay 1. And we'll get over on a stand and get some work done to it. What? Are the lights flickering? Scroll back and tell me what was happening there. Was that the wind making the glass on the building vibrate, or was that some other weird effect that was making the lights on the left-hand side of the office building flicker like that? Because the ones facing us directly weren't flickering. Huh. Interesting. That's just the stand rolling back around. Here's the other ship. Oh, hey, it's a 2-for-1. There's the ship cryo stand, the taller one, the transport stand going past it in the background. But there you can see those rams sticking up. See the three tall pistons that sort of stick up out of the top of those structures that would connect to where the vacuum raptors are. God. That person is just fully hanging there. That's not like I'm climbing and that's a safety rope. That's like full-on rappelling rope there. What are we doing? Okay, it's a little sidearm. Huh. That's interesting. Can anybody identify what specifically was happening there? I'm sure they'll go through it in Starbase Update or Starship Update on Monday, but are we putting concrete on the floor? Look at that. Is that some sort of filler? Interesting. Again, the rules are I watched the video for the first time. I don't even know everything that's going to be in the video, so I'm sort of like reacting to the things that I see here as the video goes on. That company's not paying us for advertising, so I'm not sure why they have so much advertising there across the start of the stream, or the start of the screen, full of the screen. There's okay, that's the cladding in the lower right-hand corner there. We're going to punch in a little bit on it. But this, I don't know if there's not some on the other side that we haven't seen yet, but is this the first cladding being installed on the Gigabay on the lowest, not the lowest, you can see a little bit below it, but on the lower levels of the Gigabay? Interesting. That's going to be a lot of cladding to clad that thing. Here they're delivering more cladding. What a weird setup. It looks like the truck that has the glass on the back, the big panes of glass to like replace your glass at your storefront or whatever. It looks like one of those, but look at that. It's like a piece of, and it's got that special spreader to pick up the piece. That's going to take forever. All right. New structure in the Starfactory wall. It says a hole was cut in the wall. There you can see said hole down at the bottom. And we've got some girderific sort of stuff sticking out of the bottom of that. I wonder what's going to go on there. Like, is this a walkway? It doesn't look big enough for, like, ships to go through. Clearly it's not big enough for ships to go through. I wonder what's going to happen there. We've got a bunch of scaffolding inside the Starfactory. There's some COPVs. You see the orange outer casings and those caps on the top of them sticking up, the little orange caps above the silver parts there. Standing by, ready for install. We're going to have a deluge test over on pad 2, it looks like. See, the top deck's not going off here. This is just sort of the bottom area where the initial exhaust sort of hits the deflectors in the bottom of the trench, right? So this is not an all-up test. That pipe that you see along the top of the mount is not doing anything right now. That's all coming from the deflectors down in the trench. There's that big pipe, see? Or there's the pipe that's for the top deck. Now, whoa, all right. the OLM retraction test on the top of the engine mounts there. Engine clamps, whatever. Huh. Here's a lift. We see them do this all the time out at the Cape, where they fly the lifts onto the drone ships, right? I guess this is the first time I've seen them fly one into the trench. I'm sure they've done it before, but all the time we saw them. Where I guess like that's how you get it there. You don't put a little ramp or anything. You just grab it with the crane and put it on the deck of the drone ship. Here's the thing we've been standing by for quite some time: that super tall crane lifting up an extra. You want to call it a roof? You want to call it a blast plate? You want to call it, I don't know what you want to call it, the extra shielding that's going on the top of Tower 2. This is weird. I hope we have a backed off shot of this. It's good to see the detail and the people there. It's under the suspended load. But I want to see a backed off shot because it's really tough to get the context of how tall this is. Like the way that the crane is lifting this to the very top of Tower 2. It's crazy. I guess we didn't get certainly we have a wide shot of that. Maybe the wide shot will appear. But just remember, that's at the top of the tower, right? Here we've got construction continuing over. They got some dump trucks going in. There's that driver for the sheet piles. Those are still going. It says installed. It looks like they're being installed still. The tagline and all the hydraulic hoses and stuff like that. Then the to like push those in. So I wonder what those. I wonder if that's some sort of lubrication or something. See the white strings? I wonder why that's on there. Is that protecting something? But it seems like it's not on the parts where they touch each other. Interesting. Any sheet pile drivers? That's a job you can have. In the comments, I wonder why those are there. Are they for measurement? Are they to protect something? Like, do you peel those off? Like, wait a second. It says working hard or hardly working. Dan actually came down and has scalped our trailer there, preparing it for Flight 12. The superstructure was getting a little rusty. That's the Supercrusher over at Massey's. But the structure of our trailer was getting a little rusty, so Dan came over there and cut the top off of it and is replacing it with a new structure to better secure those solar panels on the top. He's doing a bunch of rearranging of the boxes and stuff like that. Big thanks to Dan for rolling out to Starbase and getting trailer shipshape for Flight 12. Now, look at this. We got everybody. We got Caesar, and we got Gage, and we got Dan. Caesar's got the hoodie on there, the TPS tile hoodie. Gage has which is that? That's one of the flight shirts, and then Dan in the middle. Look, I guess they got the solar panels back on top with the new structure. Anyways, some behind the scenes, big thanks to the team. You don't see that a lot. You see all the camera angles and stuff like that, but it works because the folks are out there working hard to keep everything alive. My name is John here doing the commentary. Appreciate y'all watching. This time, remember, we may have a couple other languages for you as well, or as always, you can turn off the commentary and you can just listen to the natural sounds. But we appreciate you watching, and we will see you nerds later.